At a theological level, the most basic dilemma in all of theology is how you reason from the world in which we live to God as he really is. You understand that God is exalted, he is perfect, he is simple, he doesn't change. He only acts, he's never acted upon. He doesn't have the capacity to act, he's just pure action. He's incomprehensible to us. He's so far above us and beyond us we cannot even conceive of him. And yet, he reveals himself in this world which he made, and he interacts with us in this world, and he hears our prayers, and he acts in response to them, and he interacts with his creation. How can you reason from this small, finite, fallen world to the infinite, incomprehensible God? And it's worth looking, how did God get from how incomprehensible he is into our world so we can understand him? Well, he did so by speaking. He created the world with his voice. He spoke the universe into existence. And then he reveals himself to us through words. He gives his word to us in the form of this book. So much so that when Jesus himself comes to earth, Jesus is called the Word of God, the Word that became flesh and made its dwelling among us. And I don't want you to overlook how significant that is. That there's no way for God to reveal himself to us. We're not like him. There's no way for him to reveal himself to us. There's no way we could receive him or perceive him unless he spoke. He has to have something from inside of him leave him to us that reveals himself to us. So God makes the world with a word. He reveals himself through his word, and he comes to us in his word. In fact, his word reveals himself. This is the basic principle of Jesus, is the word of God, that when God has a thought in his head, that thought is his word that comes out. And the word exactly and perfectly represents the speaker. The word of Jesus is exactly who the Father is. It is the self-perception of the Father. He's the image of God because he's the word of God. He comes from him and he does so perfectly. He is so much so Jesus can say, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. If you've seen the word of God, you know it's in the Father's mind about himself. He's the revelation of God. That's what it means that Jesus is the word of God. That's, I think, some deep theology there, but if you understand it, you are ready now for the contrast to you. Your word also reveals who you are in a way that you're not even fully aware of. Your word leaves you and shows the world what you are really like. God doesn't make speech evil. In fact, God reveals himself through speech. But we make speech evil through sin. This is why death and life are both in the power of the tongue. 2 Corinthians 6 verse 7 says the tongue is a weapon that can be used for righteousness' sake when it is presented to God. That your tongue and your speech can be used to advance the gospel in the world, just like Jesus is the word of God and God, the Father, speaks into the world. He reveals himself. You also can speak into the world life, and you can speak into the world righteousness, and you can advance the gospel in the world through your speech when your heart is transformed. But apart from a transformed heart, your speech will be ugly and sinful and vile.